He went missing on the mountain, then came back wrong. True story from Rinjani, Indonesia. If you're planning a mountain trip with friends, watch this to the end, because not everyone who goes up comes back the same. This story began when Melia started dating a senior from her university named Ethan. At that time, Ethan was in his final semester and about to graduate. Wanting to create a memorable farewell with his campus friends, he organized a hike to Mount Rinjani. The idea was met with excitement. Everyone was on board. Let's go! Before we all go our separate ways into work and adult life, let's do one last adventure together, they said. To make the trip even more fun, Ethan invited Melia too. Babe, want to join us? There'll be about 20 people, including a few girls, he asked. Sure. I'd love to, Melia replied. They picked a date roughly a week later, and soon the day arrived. That morning, the group gathered at the foot of Mount Rinjani. They split into 3 groups, each led by an experienced guide. Group 1 was led by Mia, Group 2 by Ronan, Group 3 by Idris. After forming the groups, they gathered for a short briefing about the do's and don'ts of the hike, like where they were allowed to pitch tents. Before setting off, they stopped at a small food stall near the entrance to buy supplies. The elderly woman who owned the shop took Ethan aside and whispered, "Son, if anything strange or supernatural happens, make sure you come back through this same gate. The spirits won't be able to follow you. This gate has been sealed." Ethan felt uneasy at the warning, but nodded politely. "Thank you, ma'am. I'll keep that in mind." The hike began. The first day went smoothly. The only real challenge was exhaustion, Melia said. That night, they camped before continuing at dawn. The second day was slower paced, allowing them to enjoy the view. But the trail grew steeper, and some members grew tired, needing frequent breaks. They didn't reach the summit until 4 a.m. on the third day. They watched the sunrise, took pictures, and celebrated. Afterward, Ronan suggested, "Let's descend today, it'll be easier. It's downhill." Everyone agreed and began the descent. Spirits were high, people were chatting and laughing, but things changed halfway down the trail. They entered a dense forest. At first, nothing seemed odd. But as they reached the middle, the skies darkened suddenly, as if dusk had come early. Melia turned to Ethan. "Why is it getting so dark? Are we lost?" No, Ethan said. "Just follow the group. They know the trail well." Although uneasy, Melia chalked it up to the thick forest canopy, but the sky really did look unnaturally dark. Eventually, they reached Lake Sagara Anak. Some were parched and rushed to the lake for water. Idris spoke up. "Guys, if we push to descend today, we might not make it. Everyone's exhausted. Let's stay the night here and rest." Everyone agreed. They set up tents, including a separate one to store food. While the girls were preparing dinner, Melia noticed one of Ethan's friends, Nina, looking uneasy, lost in thought. Before she could ask, their conversation was interrupted by something violently shaking the food tent. "What the hell was that?" Everyone rushed over. The tent was ripped open, food scattered everywhere. They checked the other tents. Only the food tent was affected. No animals or people were seen nearby. Ronan calmed everyone. "It was probably a wild boar. It must have fled before we got here." But several of the girls, including Melia, doubted it. They hadn't heard any boar, and nothing was seen fleeing the tent. Still, they chose not to dwell on it. That night, Melia again noticed Nina acting strangely, this time more disturbed. Her face was pale, and she was muttering something under her breath as if praying. Other girls noticed too. They asked Nina what was wrong. "I have a bad feeling," she said. "Don't be mad, okay? Earlier today, my boyfriend Alex went off alone to hike Mount Baru, and he hasn't come back." Mount Baru, a newly opened secondary peak near Rinjani, was not meant for solo hiking. Everyone was alarmed. "Why didn't you stop him?" "I tried, we even fought, but he was stubborn," Nina said, clearly distressed. Mia, the Group 1 guide, immediately alerted the others. The tension grew. Ethan calmed them, saying arguing won't help. "What matters is finding Alex. I'll go after him. Who's with me?" 5 others volunteered: Ethan, Ronan, Idris, and 3 others. They headed into the forest, but as they entered the dense trees, their flashlights dimmed strangely. The atmosphere grew colder. They had to walk slowly, feeling their way through the dark. Ethan tried to lighten the mood. "Come on, don't let fear get to you. Just keep looking forward." Eventually, they reached a trail intersection. Suddenly, a white figure darted across the path ahead, followed by heavy breathing sounds. Did you see that? Ethan whispered. Yes, others replied. The figure came closer. It was a man in tattered white clothes, waving a wooden plank like a weapon. Panic erupted. They turned to run. But then they recognized the man. It was Alex. He was in horrible shape, pale, disheveled, clothes shredded. Guys, wait! Help me, he cried. I fought a wild boar. I lost my flashlight. I only found my way back, thanks to your lights. They gave him water and brought him back to camp. The others were relieved, though furious at Alex. You could have died, Mia scolded him. You should have told us, added Ronan. Alex apologized, clearly shaken. The next morning, they prepared to continue the descent, but no one wanted to walk with Alex or Nina. The group split into 5 smaller ones. Groups 1 to 3 still led by the guides. Group 4, Ethan, Melia, Ryan, and Serena. Group 5, Alex and Nina. As they walked, Alex began complaining of stomach pain. They paused briefly to rest. Then the horror began. Group 4, the one at the very back, started feeling like they were walking in circles. They kept recognizing the same trees and rocks. Didn't we pass here already? Melia asked. At around 10:30 p.m., they heard voices behind them. Hey, from behind! Ethan looked back. No one. Did you guys hear that? Yeah, but no one should be behind us. Suddenly a man appeared, shirtless, wearing only a sarong and sandals, carrying a woven basket. He looked like a farmer. Ethan asked, Sir, how far is the exit? About an hour, he said. They walked on. But Ethan realized the man had no water. They were all parched. Ryan, ask him if he has water. Ryan turned back. The man was gone. Gone. Completely vanished. They were stunned. What kind of farmer hikes a mountain shirtless at midnight? Melia asked. Was he even human? Panicked, they picked up the pace until they saw flashlight beams ahead and heard people laughing. Relieved, they ran toward it, certain it was the others. But the lights and voices faded, vanished, and they were still in the same place. We're stuck, Ethan said grimly. Suddenly the laughter and lights disappeared completely. They stood frozen, staring at one another. We're being messed with, Ethan whispered. Let's stop and pray. They sat in a circle, praying for safety. Moments later, they found Group 3, led by Idris. They called out, but got no reply. Ethan touched Idris's hand. It was freezing cold. His own hand went numb, like frostbite. And then, it happened. A black pokong, a ghost wrapped in a burial shroud, appeared, dirty, unbound, and swaying. It stared directly at them. Melia screamed. Idris turned into the pokong, she cried. They shut their eyes, praying frantically. The figure disappeared, and they could move again. But the terror wasn't over. Serena suddenly shrieked. Her eyes turned completely white, and she bolted up the trail screaming, I want to go home. She was possessed. They chased her down and recited prayers. Mid-verse, she collapsed unconscious. Just then, other group members arrived, having heard the screams. They all regrouped, finally all 20 together. The boys tried to carry Serena, but she was strangely heavy. It took 10 of them to lift her. When they reached the Rinjani gate, Serena suddenly woke and jumped from their arms, trying to run back up the mountain. She had to be restrained. Just then, the old woman from the food stall appeared again. If you want her to return to herself, light a fire as tall as she is, she said. The spirit inside her fears fire. They built the fire as instructed. As the flames rose, Serena screamed and fainted. Hours later, she awoke. Huh? Where am I? What's going on? She was herself again. Everyone sighed in relief. They hurried home, not wanting to provoke another episode. But the strangeness continued. In the car, Serena stared out the window. Wow, this city is beautiful. I've never seen anything like it. She marveled at everything. Passing motorcycles, her phone, even her own reflection. Something was clearly off. Days later, her family brought her to a spiritual healer. They were told, the spirit that possessed her followed her from Rinjani. It still lingered, and every time it entered her, Serena would forget who she was, becoming someone else, amazed by the world like she'd never seen it before. Want more chilling true stories like this? Like this video, comment your thoughts or your own spooky mountain experience, and subscribe for more real horror every week. Because some mountains don't like letting people go.